Alright, so the raid or invasion, whichever you like to call it, started, and up until this point, I kept asking, why are we doing this? And you're probably thinking, what do you mean, why are we doing this? There are 2 captains that have been captured, and we got to get them back. And that point, I'm all for it. I get that. I understand exactly who we're doing this for, but it doesn't necessarily answer the question of why are we doing this? At least from our protagonist's point of view, at least from what's the motivation? What's driving our main cast to pursue this with extreme prejudice? The motivation just hits differently for Asta, and Noel. This is plain and simple. And those are the 3 characters that I'm pretty much going to be focusing on in this video. And pretty much to clear up the confusion of what I'm trying to say is, what do we really know about the threat that's in front of us? What do we know about the Dark Triad? That they're just evil? That they need to be stopped? I mean, from everything that I've seen so far, it's really just been business as usual. I had to ask myself really a second question: what has changed? I had to just go back and reread the arc from the beginning, and I had to just make sure that I had a complete understanding of where the story was coming from and where the story is preparing to go. In reading chapters again, I noticed that this is a matter of invading the Spade Kingdom, dethroning the Dark Triad, and how it actually changed from business as usual to personal vendettas on 3 different fronts. Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow I forgot how the L's of the mages from the Clover Kingdom were really, really bad. I don't know how I forgot how bad those L's were, but they definitely happened. Seeing that over again just brought this emotional weight that I believe that our mages are facing as they progress through this altercation. It's interesting because there are 3 different levels of how I rank these emotional motivators, but the intensity of all 3 are rightfully so equal considering the circumstances. Like, we knew going into this that Noelle took this matter extremely personally. The devil that's inside of Vanika is the reason why her mother is no longer with us, and for anybody, that should be plenty of motivation as to why they're doing what they're doing. But in the addition of taking the Heart Kingdom princess, another individual who over the course of 6 months or so, Noelle has really taken a liking to and considers her a friend, that just adds a deeper level of the disdain, and it kind of compounds the fact that this is as one-sided as it actually is, but personal for Noelle. And I can easily say that because on Vanika's end, it's just Tuesday. Like, she just wants to fight really strong mages, you know what I mean? So it's like, to her, this is nothing new. Moving straight on into Asta. The thing that makes it weird is that him and Yami, they won their fight. They beat Dante. It was close. It pushed them to their limits. They quote unquote surpassed their limits, but he couldn't do anything against Xenon, or Xenon, however you pronounce his actual name. He was powerless to stop Yami from being taken. And it makes sense because Yami's Asta's like role model. He's his captain. He's a lot to this individual, you know what I mean? And just seeing that his captain was taken right in front of his eyes, and coupled with the fact that the devil that resides within Asta just pretty much tells him, I can't make any more contracts with you because you're weak. And that's kind of difficult to hear, especially from somebody who puts their all into everything they're doing in a world where they can't even use magic, you know what I mean? So like, just imagine, for the most part, whatever it is that you do, you give it 110%. You're doing your best, and somebody comes along who probably makes what you do look easy, or whatever the case may be, and tell you, hey, do better. Like, that's a major cut, especially to one's ego. So I can definitely understand how he could be going through some issues, because again, like I said before, Asta is at a huge disadvantage being in a world where he can't use magic, and he's still making it work. But it's showing that he can't really rely on anti-magic or rely on the devil that resides in him to bail him out of situations, basically. And he has to do more of the work. And yes, like, without Yami, I guess I just kind of, my brain is flip-flopping at this point, but Yami taught Asta how to use ki, which is very integral to his repertoire and how he gets around and how he functions within the battlefield. So it's a very huge thing. Like, Asta needs more of the intangibles. Yes, hard work and his quote unquote magic of never giving up is great. It's cool that he has the willpower to will his way through certain situations, but that's not always going to work. So I feel like he just needs more intangibles. That's just gonna make him a more well-rounded mage. You know what I mean? And we might be able to see that with the Union magic. It's gonna boost a lot of his stats, a lot of his power. So it's a lot of things that we can look forward to seeing. And I think that once it's all said and done, he'll reach new heights, and he'll be in a better place. But we just have to wait and see. And last but not least, just jumping into this, we got to talk about, And he's probably where I noticed a lot of the changes that were driving the main cast to really go into this raid and really go all out on the rematches. What I would call the rematches that they want. When revisiting these chapters and just keeping it real with y'all, got caught slipping, and from my point of view, he might have caught the worst L out of everybody. Finding out about his parents, he's a prince, losing his captain, losing his Zenon, being left for dead with the bone sword ran through him. Like, this man has had a roller coaster of a day, and just like everybody else, the difference though, I believe, is how it was shown or portrayed in the story. And it's just starting with the captain's meeting, where people could clearly see something was off with this man. He had in Hunter x Hunter terms, he had a bloodlust. And you can tell it by just the way they drew his face. You can tell by his wind spirit, how she's storing up mana, just letting everybody know that we won't be caught slipping ever again. And I just, that kind of just goes into the Dark Triad as a whole though, because I felt like they've done something that no other villain has done up until this point in the story. And they have affected our protagonists unlike anybody else has. Whether directly or indirectly, they've effectively made Asta and company pretty much hate them, more or less. They've been sowing these seeds of this word that's been thrown around the entire arc of just malice, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that. Like I said before, I know who we're doing this for, but to answer my question of why we're doing it, just from my own perspective, it's just, this is a very, very personal matter, and to prove to not only the Dark Triad, but just to themselves too, that they aren't weak and that they're better than them. Basically to say that we weren't who you thought we were. There's a lot of writing on this raid/invasion, and they just want, they want their rematch. They want their opportunity to shoot the dupes again. They just want to even the scales, for lack of better terms. But that's pretty much all that I have for this video, all of my thoughts right now so far. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.